Peanut butter and banana, really?
That's what he liked. I don't know.
Anyway, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking an allocated bourbon. All right, Ben, what's the definition of allocated?
Wildly overpriced on the secondary, impossible to get.
Bing.
A lot of times impossible to get and wildly overpriced for not really much of a reason.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, there are some that are
Awesome.
Yeah, amazing, that are super high aged, very, very rare, but some of them just get allocated because they just get overhyped and all of a sudden you can't find them.
Certain bourbons get pulled into a category that they really don't need to be in.
Right.
They're a bottom shelf everyday bourbon. They're fine. Mm-hmm. And today...
So yeah, the one we're going to do today used to be kind of a bottom shelf budget friendly bourbon. And then everybody freaked out about it, and now you can't find it and people pay ridiculous prices. So
just because it has a W on the label.
Bam. This is Weller Special Reserve. So this is a Buffalo Trace product, which right off the bat, there you go.
Bing.
Allocated.
Problem number one.
Yeah. So this is from their number 3 mash bill, which is their weeded mash bill.
Yep.
I believe the reason this got, in the entire Weller line, got so out of control allocated is because people found out that it's the same mash bill that they make Pappy Van Winkle out of. Now, there are plenty of other bourbons from other distilleries where they take one mash bill and they'll make
a lot of
really expensive stuff, really cheap stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same mash bill. The mash bill is not the end-all be-all. It's barrel entry proof. It's what they proof it to when they bottle it. It's how long it's aged. It's where it's aged. It's all those different things.
Lots of handling of the barrels and storage and everything. Yep.
Yeah, a bourbon doesn't live and die by its mash bill. Now, it definitely changes it if it's a high rye or a weeded one. It's going to make a difference, but just because this is the same mash bill as a Pappy
doesn't mean it's baby Pappy.
Yeah, exactly. It does not mean that. So this, long before, well, maybe not long before, maybe just a few years before we started really getting into bourbon, you could go into any liquor store and buy this for $25. It is a screw top, metal screw top. It's like opening up a 40.
A 40?
Just reminds me of the green cap, the 40-ounce Mickeys.
Oh, that's funny.
That maybe you may have different memories of.
I have no idea what that is, but yes, twice on Sunday.
So this is a weeded bourbon, as we said.
So my only experience with this is I paid $100 for one of these and one of the Weller Antique 107s. And I was happy with that because I had wanted to own a Weller product, never saw one on the shelf.
Yeah, and
got a call from a local liquor store and had a chance and I did it.
The Weller 107 on its own, just standard MSRP is around $50.
Yeah.
This was around $25 when it was
available.
Yeah. I don't know what it is now. It's probably $25, $30. So you didn't overpay by much, and that's an acceptable. I would have taken that same deal.
Yeah, right.
Because either you overpaid just a little bit of this, or you got an absolute MSRP for the Weller 107, which is even more rare and is delicious.
Yep. But this was my first bourbon hunt type bourbon that I couldn't find, then I found.
Me too.
I paid for it, and then finally got the courage to open it up, and I did a review of both of them, the Antique 107 and this, and I was really, really disappointed. And it's unfair. You can't have expectations that high and then you meet it or taste it in this case. And it's never gonna satisfy.
Is this 90 proof? Yeah, 90 proof.
So we decided to do this review, and just honestly, what do we think of it as a bourbon? It's a 90 proof weeded bourbon.
Take away all the allocation stuff. If you just walked into the store, saw this on the shelf for $30 or $25, whatever it used to be, and you bought it, what would you think of it?
Yeah. I mean, I think this kind of goes against regular Maker's Mark, regular larceny. So if it's in that category, weeded mash bill, how does it do? So here we go.
I got this bottle in a grouping too. I bought, we did a review of Corner Creek not that long ago. I had to get this and a bottle of Corner Creek. So I think they were trying to get rid of the Corner Creek, which actually ended up being a bourbon I really liked.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what I paid for the both of them, but the way it worked out with the math, how much the Corner Creek usually costs, I think I paid like $30 for this. So
it's not, I mean,
yeah, pretty close to MSRP.
People are really hunting for it, so it's not horrible.
Even on the low end of like secondary market prices, like 80, 90 bucks, 100 bucks, and then even higher than that.
Yeah.
Which don't do that.
Ridiculous, yeah. I think definitely getting a lot on the nose. There's a lot of flavors here.
There's almost a little bit of a cherry
burn.
trying to come through.
Some red fruit,
It doesn't have that bready note that I look for in a wheated bourbon just because Maker's Mark has it so
haven't got that yet.
Nicely. I feel like for 90 proof though, there's more alcohol here than there should be.
I'm getting a lot of alcohol burn. Yeah. Also getting like a toasted almond kind of note.
We get that a lot on wheated bourbons.
Yep.
Well, let's go in for the taste here.
Wow, almost like biscuits. Like a nice, fresh biscuit kind of note. It's actually really good.
I think it's pretty basic.
Well, okay, so it's not going to explore all of the range of bourbon that's available.
Right, but I feel like there's just not like there's flavors there. I get the biscuit thing, but they're not very strong.
Yep.
And there isn't one thing that sticks out too much besides like I think there's more alcohol burn on this than there should be at 90 proof. And it doesn't feel like it has the age and the flavors to surround that, you know? Like you do like a high strength or a high proof bourbon. When you get that higher proof alcohol burn, it comes with a lot of flavors kind of wrapped around it that kind of help with that. And the high proof accentuates those flavors. I feel like the balance of this is off. Like and at 90 proof, that's not a high proof bourbon by any stretch of the imagination. But I feel like there's just a little more of just that basic sharpness that's not surrounded by.
It's not well balanced. Yeah. It's missing some notes. And I think what causes that is you've got the mash bill, and then when you add water to it at the end after the aging, it affects certain flavors more than others. And so,
second sip a little bit better, a little more balanced, but that being said, this is not a bad bourbon. No. If I picked this up for 25 bucks and didn't know what it was, I'd be like, oh, sure, tastes like a $25 bourbon.
Yeah, and I haven't touched on this yet, but I think that Buffalo Trace in general has a little bit of a negative reputation because their bourbons are so hard to find. There's a little bit of a negative connotation about, doing a review or actually buying a Buffalo Trace product. Yeah.
Because people are just so sick of the secondary market nonsense.
Yeah. And you see someone post a bottle of Blanton's for $400 and
which is
you
ridiculous.
Make fun of it.
Don't ever do that.
But I mean, Blanton's is fine, And so we want to do a review of this, and I think it's a good $25 wheated bourbon.
Yeah, it's not bad. And the more sips I get into it, I think it balances out a little bit. I think we need to do this. Hold on. I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
Is my mic going to reach?
Yep, sorry. That's my leg.
All right, let's do regular, on the shelf, everyday wheated bourbon that we have not done a review of just the regular yet. And maybe we don't need to consider this to be a review, but just a quick comparison, because I've never actually done this before. They're both 90 proof, I believe, from memory. Yeah, 90 proof. So they're both 90 proof, both wheated. One of them is ridiculously hard to find and sells for ridiculous prices on the secondary. One of them does not do those two things. So I'm going to do a little water between these just to try to
make it fair.
Yeah.
I actually have a barrel of this in one of the rick houses with my name on it.
Do you really?
And I forget when. In several years, I'm gonna drive down there when they crack open.
Do you get to have the whole barrel?
No, I get the opportunity to buy a bottle from that barrel.
That's awesome.
My name's not the only one. And I am looking forward to it.
I think on the nose, this comes off as sweeter. It's got that bready note that we always talk about in our Makers reviews.
I do feel that Makers is unique. Like, there are other wheaters out there. Makers is doing something that is unique, and I don't know if it's just the type of wheat they use or something else in their process is just different.
Right off the bat, this is so much better. It really is. It's got so much more flavor, so much more sweetness. It's balanced.
I'm really having a hard time getting individual notes. And I love Maker's Mark, but all right. Better mouthfeel. Better balance of sweetness and spice.
It's a little more rich.
Kind of a honey / molasses feel and taste.
Oh yeah, now going back to the Weller, that's like sharp. And it doesn't have that sweetness to it that you would expect from a wheated bourbon.
The Weller's missing something. And so it's a good bourbon that they added too much water to. And
maybe it's just a lack of age on the special reserve, because the 107 is delicious.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's way above average.
And I haven't
for both
had
of
any
us.
of the other ones.
Yeah.
But the 107, I have one of those, and that's really good. But I gotta say, between the two of these, hands down, Maker's Mark.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, that's considerably better. So, like we started this video out with, if you just bought this as a $25 unknown bourbon on the shelf, absolutely no problem with it. It's
Right.
a little bit sharp. It's not terribly well balanced.
But there are certain people that like that,
Yeah.
and it works great for
And
them.
it's not bad. There's nothing offensive about it.
Right.
As an allocated bourbon that people pay ridiculous prices for and hunt for, sure, if you see one at MSRP, something rare, pick it up, absolutely. I'm always gonna do that.
And if you simply want one, don't justify yourself to anybody. Buy it.
Yeah, but just know what you're paying for, and if you're gonna pay $80, $100 for this, A, you're feeding into the hype and keeping those prices ridiculous and keeping this off the shelf.
And there's probably
And B,
100 other bourbons available that are better.
Yeah, this is not gonna compete. Like, this is exponentially better in my opinion.
I agree. It really is.
And you can go out and buy this anywhere. So, yeah, I mean, the Weller is good. It's kind of meh. But for what it is, it's good. But for what it's become,
I would describe it as a little bit better in that I actually kind of like it. My opinion from several years ago was I wasn't that big of a fan of it, but I like it. It's okay. It's not this. There's something very different about the way that Maker's Mark creates a bourbon and Buffalo Trace creates a bourbon.
yeah.
They're definitely different.
Yeah, if you put these two blind and said pick out the expensive one that's sought after by, I would definitely pick Maker's Mark. Like if they said, which one of these is allocated and hard to find and sells for ridiculous prices, I would say neither one of them probably should, but out of the two of them, this comes across as the fancier one for sure.
Yep, I agree.
So yeah, pick up a bottle if you see this at MSRP. Pick up a bottle of this for sure.
Keep a bottle of that on the shelf just because.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple.
All right, so this has been a couple of wheated bourbons, Weller and Maker's Mark on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Thanks for watching. Cheers.